Okay, so we are going to transfer our little guy here over onto our cake, and the best, easiest way to do that is I'm going to take a bamboo skewer that I've measured, and it's just a little bit taller than this guy. I'm going to stick it right down the top of him. Later on, I'm going to go ahead and push it all the way through so that he stays on the cake, but right now that will give me a little bit of leverage and a way to hold him without messing up everything I did. So I slipped my spatula underneath him, and there we go. We've got a really good seamless transfer. And now I'm just going to push down with my spatula and the little tip here, there we go, all the way so it goes through the pumpkin cake now too. And now he's going to be firm on there, and I don't have to worry about him moving around too much. And there's a little spot on the top, so I can just take my, my black icing tip and cover it up, and it'll be great. So we have our black icing bag, like I mentioned, and we're just going to take it and cover up the little top piece there. Okay, now that I can see how much of him shows and is covered up and whatever, we're going to go ahead and pipe the rest of his little furry body on here with our star tip, which shouldn't take very long, and also add the tail. And so like I said before, I waited on the tail because I didn't know what this was going to look like until I put him on here. Also, the tail is most likely just going to be out of icing, and so I can't really transfer a big tail of icing from the plate onto the cake very easily. And so I wanted to do that afterwards so that I could have a nice, less messy, seamless transfer. Okay, so this is going on nice and fast here. And I had thought about putting a little top on top of this guy, kind of like the top of the pumpkin, so it would look like he was coming out of it, but I decided not to. One thing, this little cat guy is really small, and so if I were to try and make something, I don't know, a piece of cake, or I guess you could use a piece of fondant dried to look like the top of the pumpkin and then put that on top of him, but it's just gonna, whatever it's gonna be is gonna be really weighty and heavy. So I wanted to make sure that I don't have to worry about him falling over or anything squishing him from the top, things like that. But you could do that. That would be a really cool thing to put on here as maybe a little pumpkin top on top of the cat so that it looks like he's coming up out of the pumpkin. Okay, we're almost done here. Just need to get the front, and then we'll be done. For some decorating ideas, again, like I said, you could use this star tip to make him look kind of hairy. You could also use the grass tip, which is a really good, fun Wilton tip that has a lot of holes, and you can make him look really shaggy and hairy and things like that. I don't know, I really like this star tip. Sometimes it looks a little bit neater, and sometimes my icing doesn't like to come out of that grass tip. It just works better to have it come out of this larger star tip. Okay, so now I'm going to do his little tail. So I'm just going to pipe a long star tip piece that comes out here, and this is probably as long as it will be because with the size of this little guy, if I make it any longer, it's going to look kind of unnatural. And yeah, and then pipe it up the back a little bit so that it looks like it's really coming out of him. There we go. So we've got our little tail coming off the back here. And then our last little bits, we've got his nose to take care of. So I've got a little bit of pink here, and I'm gonna, a little bit of pink fondant Then I'm going to roll into kind of a little ball and then smush it just a little bit and try to shape it like their little noses, kind of a triangular shape. And then plug it in here so that we've got his little nose. And oops, I need to put some fresh icing on there or else it's not going to stick. There we go, just a little dab. And then we'll put his nose on. Oh, how cute. So we've got his little nose there peeking out, you can see. And then some tips and tricks for, you know, different decorations that you can do with this to cover up the bottom. I found a really fun maple leaf cutter set, and so you can cut out some fun maple leaves, different colors and things like that, and put them on there to kind of cover things up. And a maple leaf would be natural to have around a pumpkin or something like that. If you wanted to have one that was not a solid color, really quick about blending colors for fondant, so you would take your two pieces of fondant, we're going to do orange and yellow, and kind of mush them together, and then you want to stretch and turn, knead them together, stretching a little bit and kneading together, and that helps. I need some, it's sticking to me, there we go, some shortening. And that just helps to create a more striped, marbled type look to it. It's a really good method for kneading it together so that the colors don't blend completely, but just kind of marbleize it for you. Okay, and we're just gonna go that far with it, and we'll take our rolling pin and roll it out. Ooh, we've got some nice marbling on that. I don't know if you can see that, but we've got a really nice marbled look to that piece there. So we're going to cut that out. And it also softened up our orange piece just a little bit, so we can cut it out and put it on here. Again, probably with some shortening to make it stick, but until we get our permanent stuff going on here. And we'll just drape him like that. There we go. Maybe a little bit more on this side. Oops. There we go. Okay, and then up at the top, some of the final things that we're going to do up here. So I've got some green, and I'm going to make a little stem. Since he's sitting on top of the cake, I'm going to make a little stem here out of this green to go on top of the cake. Probably the whole, maybe not the whole piece. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to roll this to a nice log shape, kind of get it softened up and warm. You want to knead your fondant, your gum paste, stuff like that, to get it really nice and warm, and then when you roll it together, it'll have nice seamless, it'll combine seamlessly. It won't show all those little lines and things like that. The warmer it is, the better it'll combine with itself. The colder it is, just the harder it'll be to get a nice seamless look to it. So we're gonna shape a little stem here on our mat, and then we'll put it onto our cake. There we go. Probably want him to be a little bit taller. And you know, you can make it hooked, you can do whatever you want, but just for this size, we'll just have it be like that. And we're gonna push him up right next to our little guy here so that you can see our little stem. And then we're going to take a green little maple leaf and stick that on there so that it's coming off like that. And our last little thing here, you can take some green and make cut little stripes out of it, and then roll it back up on your rolling pin, and we've got some fun little curly cues, just like the little stem or the little vines coming off. And we're actually going to use our wet icing from our cat to adhere this to there and make it stick, and that just helps out a lot to have our little cat still be so moist or fresh with our icing, then we can just tuck it up underneath there. And it's really fun not to let these strips dry completely, because then, as you can see, they kind of elongate themselves and it looks a little more natural that way. So we're gonna take off these leaves because I don't want them on there right now. But this is our cute little carved pumpkin cake. I am so excited how well it turned out. And I hope this gives you the enthusiasm and the drive to try it yourself. I think you'll do a great job. I look forward to seeing you again next time. We're gonna do some other fun stuff with our next show. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at apieceofcake21@gmail.com. And I will now enjoy eating the cake, the fruits of our labors, and we'll see you next time.